Okay, we'll wait one more minute to get started. We'll start right at 2 o'clock. Clock goes very slow when you're watching it.
It just ticks by.
Okay, it is 2 o'clock. This is the Parks, Trees, and Trails Advisory Committee meeting for October 18th of 2023. And I call this meeting to order. First piece of business is approval of minutes. We know of one change, some spelling. Any other, everybody else get a chance to look at the minutes? I had just a couple of things we want to make sure, and I think it comes up later in the meeting. This is just regarding the minutes going back, is Cheetah Lake Plan Review, and I think that's on here. And then Trails Master Plan and Parks Master Plan Update. I don't think that's on here because there wasn't funding to do it right now. We just don't want to lose track of that at some point when there's some funding available. So, okay, anything else on the minutes? Okay, do you want us to do a roll call? Let's do a roll call. Let's start with you, Jan.
Jan Damteen, present.
Linda Cedric.
Rick Barnett.
Cindy Kirby.
Anna Creel.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from July 19th?
I would make a motion to approve the minutes from July 19th with the exception of the name correction.
She wants her name corrected.
I do want my
Imagine
name
that.
corrected, thank you.
Is there a second on that?
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed except for her spelling issues? So, okay. Okay, discussion, City of Lebanon update. There are 3 different things on here. We'll start with, are you doing the update? Because I don't see Jason.
No, I'm not.
Do we want to skip down and come back to it?
I think I'm doing the update.
You're doing the
Yes.
update.
I'm
Okay.
doing the
let's-
Doing the update.
I know, so exciting.
Okay, look at that.
I have a whole script, guys.
Okay,
So
go
don't
for
ask
it.
me a lot of questions because it doesn't have Q&A on here.
Is
Um,
your microphone on?
I believe so. Closer. Okay, so we had a maple tree that was removed from 7th and Sherman. It was old and had been trimmed by the power company, and it made it split down the center, so it was hollow. It was deemed a danger at that point. There has not been a tree replanted due to it being under the power lines at this. So we just deemed that due to the utilities, not going to be replacing that one. And there was a maple tree removed on city property north of Porter Park. It was damaged and hollow. There was a large limb that had fallen. The rest of the tree was hanging over a neighboring property. And then, so the neighboring property had concern if there was a storm or anything. So we removed that one as well. Nothing has been replaced at this time until we've determined the use for that parcel. It's just an empty parcel right there on the corner lot of like Porter and Russell. We took kind of that right away when they did the road update through there. So it's grass at this point and had, I think, 2 trees on there. Jason Rush wanted to give some updates on some BLT questions. For the Cheetah Lake boat ramp side, there is not a sign at this time. So we would like to see what type of sign, I guess, this committee would like to see over there and what name determination between the city and this committee, whether, you know, Cheetah Lake North, Cheetah Lake South, Cheetah Lake Boat Ramp. as to not further confuse the public of which location. For us at this point, we call that side Cheetah Lake Boat Ramp, and we call the other side the Cheetah Lake Fairgrounds or Strawberry Grounds. So I guess before we decide to put a sign out there, determination of what the sign should say, we'd kind of like to figure that part out.
Would it be a sign like that is on, like, on the other parks, like Booth Park, and there's a different one at Century Park?
We can come up with ideas for that. I know we have a different sign for the one that goes to like Riverview Park. Just kind of a marker sign right there. I mean, it just kind of depends. There's a lot of space out there, so.
But this is a sign for the park, not just the boat ramp, right?
Yeah. So, well, this would be, yeah, but the boat ramp side, not the other side. But it would be indicating that that is Cheetah Lake Park and an entrance to a trail, but that the boat ramp is also there. So, there was questions about, garbages. We do have, our trail garbages are emptied daily. We have seen a big influx of homeless and household trash being dumped. So we go out in the morning, our crews pick up all trash through parks and trails. And we have been seeing that throughout the day, they get filled up again. So what we're doing is we're working on making rounds twice a day at this point. For the winter months, feasible. We're not sure how that's going to look when summer comes around again and we're mowing. But we have started a tracking system. So we're notified of what parks and trails and things like that have been emptied, when they were emptied, so we can see which ones are getting not more than just park users trash in them. So, right now we do have some applications for Cheetah Lake, and for 2024, we have processed the BLT application for the fun run, and we have other applications that we are holding until we see what the construction schedule could possibly look like for next year. I think we might have some more information on that today, possibly. But we do have everything in process: Strawberry Festival, the fun run, things like that. And yeah, I think that's kind of it for Jason's update that he had. Any other questions on that?
Very well done. So you would like
I don't like public speaking.
some idea, really? We didn't notice. So they're looking for ideas on the Cheetah Lake boat ramp side sign is really what they're looking for.
Well, I mean, we can put a generic sign out there, but I think,
Mhm.
BLT they have different names for trails. We call it just the boat ramp side. So I think maybe some feedback just from this committee might be beneficial, so we can be inclusive of what the citizens are looking for and what might be a good indicator for what that side is. So
So Linda
this
suggested,
request came, from,
we want to make sure that it says more than boat ramp. So I
Yes.
think you picture something like Cheetah Lake North or whatever direction that is.
It could be north.
And then maybe boat ramp down below. Is that what you're thinking? Something like that?
okay.
I think definitely it needs to be something a little bit different than just Cheetah Lake Park, because that creates so much confusion for
Yes,
people.
agreed.
So Cheetah Lake North, I think would be fine, but I definitely think that adding boat ramp underneath it is a smart idea.
Yes, you're right. It would seem it would cause confusion because
Mhm.
people come to events and here
Oh,
they
yeah,
are.
all the
and
time.
It's on the opposite side.
And Google often sends people there, and I think if we have it the same name, Google will be even more confused.
Any other comments for Jason on that? the household trash is somebody who has a crew cleaning up trash right now for the same reason. Is it, do we know if it's the homeless population, or is it just people that just dump their trash there, or is it a combination?
We're seeing it be a combination.
Okay.
We have found indicators that some of it is household trash, and we have turned that information into PD for tracking to see.
That's
if
what
there's-
that was the next question, because people, when they put their household trash out, aren't necessarily as careful as I would be if I was dumping my trash in the park. So, okay.
So we've been, trying to watch where that's at and what's going on with that. But primarily it is, additional trash from, houseless issues
Mhm.
that the crews are seeing out there.
And it's work that the city crew shouldn't have to be doing, but is. Okay.
Is it specific parks that have a worse problem than others? I assume it does, but
I believe they have seen it specific at more parks. Old Mill Trail, we are seeing it because it comes up from the trail near the river. Ralston Park, we're seeing it. If you go to Century Park, it's not quite as bad. Christopher Columbus Park, more of a neighborhood park, not as bad. Things like that, but they do have specific parks that they are seeing it worse than others.
Is it often by the bathrooms? Because I often see homeless people pull up to bathrooms and then they'll spend a lot of time in the bathroom because they're taking a bath in the sink. And so that's naturally a place where they would leave their trash. I'm wondering if it's by the bathrooms, if you could just have an extra can by the bathroom so so the workers wouldn't have to make as many stops.
I think primarily in the bathrooms, they're not seeing so much trash as other unwanted items left behind or vandalism. So I
Mhm.
don't know, but that's definitely something that, I don't talk so much with the crews on that portion, but that's something that I can make sure I take back to Jason and the crews and see if that might be beneficial. But from what I've seen, it's more just vandalism to the bathrooms. And then some items left behind, which are mostly just those items that were used to vandalize the bathroom, unfortunately. Pipes, pieces of bikes, lighters, stuff like that.
Okay. Anything else on the city updates? Questions, thoughts? Thank you. You did really well for somebody that doesn't like to speak in public. Okay, next I have on here spraying of blackberries. Is that in your court too?
Well, for the city update, we also, I added into the packet just a picture of some new signage that we have out there. I didn't quite get it on the agenda here. But we wanted you guys to see the new signs that we have posted at all of the parks, stating the new hours of when the park is closed, our standard no camping, no smoking, things like that. So those will be posted at all of the parks. We did have a number of those signs made, and those will hopefully help facilitate, any issues that we're having ongoing at some of the parks. It has been requested from PD that we have these signs, so it helps facilitate their position as well out there. And then we also had the Christopher Columbus sign was in sad shape, so we had a new Christopher Columbus Park sign installed out there as well. So just wanted you guys to see that. I do apologize, they're not in color. I printed them and
No worries.
just ran with it. And then in here, I'll just run through this really quick. I know Jim McKinnon had come here previously, and we had discussed the Adopt a Park, Adopt a Trail program. So I have been working on revamping that program, getting the city website updated, and getting the application updated so we can hopefully get more businesses involved, organizations, even just individuals involved. It used to be, we had a lot of parks and trails adopted by community members, and it kind of just fell off the radar. So I included the application packet and then just what the website kind of looks like at this point. And I just wanted you guys to see that. Let me know if you guys have any questions, comments, feedback, anything. I'm hoping to reach out to Jim. He's been a great asset with his volunteering. Him and I work very closely together on all of that. So I'm hoping to get this over to him and work with him on making it better and getting information out there. I know he was hoping to get into like the strawberry parade and get information out to the citizens that way too. So I wanted you guys to see that. You don't have to give me any comments today, but feel free to email me, let me know. Cindy, let me know if I have any spelling errors.
You
things
spelled
like-
Wendy's name wrong. something like that.
Cindy and I are just having so much fun with spelling lately.
So were there any comments on this? I looked at it yesterday and I actually thought your approach was really good. So,
Yeah, so I'd, once, everybody has a chance to kind of look at it, I'd like to do a push out onto Facebook saying, we're looking for people to come out, be a part of our volunteer program, things like that. I'd like to, bring back the plaques for who's adopted a park and who's out there helping us for, provide some recognition and stuff. So I think it would be great to bring the community together in that aspect, start working with BLT, other members. I know Dave, unfortunately, he's not here today, but he did him and Linco adopted a park. They went out and did a event. So just kind of get that back out there. So, and then my last thing on here is our memorials program. This is a rough draft, but we've had a lot of requests for memorial benches to go in through town and some memorial trees. So I actually talked about the memorial benches with Rod at one point to see if BLT would like to kind of partner with the city on locations, types of benches. I know we've had a lot of discussion about that here in this committee. So Rod said that, at this time they're kind of out of materials for benches. They have a very long wait list for who they have benches kind of allocated to in the future for donations and stuff like that. So at this point, we'll just kind of, I think, bounce ideas off of BLT for where they have pending locations, and as well as with this committee, as we are building trails out, look at that in conjunction with our memorial benches that are coming through and see what locations might be best, unless some of those benches have specialty locations. I just want to make sure we're putting them in locations that, help us, help them, all of the above. So this is definitely a rough draft. And then it also does include a list that our Parks Department kind of revamped for what we'd like to see for the memorial trees that are allowed out there within the public parks. So again, this is one that, you don't have to comment or anything today. Please feel free to look. This one, definitely rough draft on this one. So
Is there already trees that are planted that you're thinking would be used for this, or is this only planting new trees to be memorials?
So in here, I believe I did put it that we could actually do either one. So if somebody would like to dedicate a tree that's existing, that's definitely more cost effective for a family member. Trees can be rather expensive. I actually just finished one up yesterday. The tree is about 300. The shipping is about 300. Unfortunately, it's kind of what you're stuck with. So when you're looking at a $300 tree, some people that's a little far of a reach. If you're looking at a $35 to $45 plaque, that's more feasible for an existing tree out there that maybe a loved one enjoyed being in that park, and we can do it that way as well. So that is absolutely a possibility to make it more financially feasible.
I would think that we should suggest that we make the price more like $100 because by the time they have the plaque made and you pay the people to install it, you're gonna be at more than $35 or $45. I would think, personally.
Yeah, and I would agree because you don't don't sell the city short on that because your costs are actually higher. I appreciate the fact that you have a 10-year window because I know in Albany, they didn't do that.
Mm.
And so they're replacing some that are, 20 years old sometimes, some plaques and stuff.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah,
thoughts?
I've pulled from other areas to kind of piece this together without, necessarily recreating the wheel. So, what might work, what might not work. So feedback is absolutely welcomed. And, nothing's in stone at this point.
I was wondering, sorry, I was wondering how you came up with a tree list?
So we actually utilized what we have for our street tree list, and just narrowed it down from there. So there's not, our street tree list, I believe, is 4 or 5 pages for street approved tree list. So we kind of just narrowed that down for what, our Parks Department and what Jason thought would be good to see within our public parks. For future development, sizing, things like that. So again, we'd, welcome comments on that too.
Yeah, it seems to me that street trees have very particular requirements,
Mhm.
and park trees don't have as many requirements and as many limitations. So I would expect a park tree list to be bigger, although I know that for any particular tree in a particular place, there will be special requirements. But I was surprised that the list was so short.
I think when we're looking at the memorial trees, not providing such an extensive list and maybe trees that are matching what's already existing in our parks is something that we were trying to fit within. So not providing, we don't necessarily want to provide fruit trees and things of that nature. It makes it really tasking on our crews when they're out there doing maintenance. So yes, we could add those as they're not in the right of way, but again, it would be really tasking on them at that point. So that's why it's still limited. And then, availability for a lot of these trees too. I've reached out to quite a few nurseries in the area and availability the different times of year. Some of them you have to wait up to a year for them even to dig. So just looking at that too has changed what we've kind of provided on there.
What about not having a list, but just having the person or the group who's interested propose a tree?
I think they could, and I think, I know that was one option on there. I could, absolutely put on there is if something other than what is on the list, please feel free to propose it and we can discuss it with our crews at that time too. So that's something that I'm welcome to put on there, just to see, maybe we are missing something out there. But yeah, I can absolutely draft
It
that.
seems reasonable. Most people are going to look at this list and have something on this list, but there may be some particular tree
Mhm.
that's not on here.
Yeah.
Well, and it's good to give them a list to go from because especially in memorial situation, they've got other things on their mind.
Okay, you had something, Jen?
Oh, I was just going to say, if the city puts a little bronze plaque on for them, they might glue it on the back also, because I've had 2 of them stolen out at Cheadle. And so Cindy's had to make me 2 more, but this time my husband put them on with some glue on the back and then the 4 screws.
Oh, okay.
People steal those. Can you believe it?
So crazy. Wow. I'm
I
not.
suspect Jason can believe anything at this point.
Seen it all.
Yeah, we will make sure in our installation that we note that as well for them to glue those.
Anything else on that part of the update?
Lots of work.
It's good input. Thank you. Yeah.
I did have one thought about the Adopt a Park plan. I think it's great to have Adopt a Park. I hope that the community gardeners will be encouraged to adopt Porter Park. But it didn't seem realistic to me to have all individuals within an organization apply. It's to sign a liability waiver because volunteers within an organization come and go. So if you could just have the organization sign the waiver and not the individuals, or maybe you could do what BLT does and have everybody who comes to a workday sign a liability waiver.
Yeah, I think the liability,
That kind of
issue?
falls in line with the city's
Yeah.
policies on volunteers, so we would have to follow that policy. I'm not sure that we would be willing to change that at this point, just based on the way we've got it set up now with insurance requirements and whatnot. So I think it's better if everybody signs that agreement, and rather than an organization, that way we are covered as a city.
Your insurance is probably going to demand that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would agree.
So
And-
then before there's a workday, everybody has to come to City Hall and sign a paper?
Well,
they're-
the way Build Lebanon Trails does it is their group, you guys have people sign that waiver. But if you volunteer specifically for the city, yes, you need to come in and sign that waiver, yes.
and I don't want to put this in stone yet, but I will say this. So we are switching over to a new website, which hopefully will provide us the ability to use DocuSign for quite a few things. So I am hoping to be able to utilize that for quite a few of these application processes to streamline things and make it easier for applicants across the board, public event applicants, volunteers, things of that nature. So, you know, that could be a concern that I make sure I bring up when discussing getting that set up is how do I streamline this process for our volunteers and get that out to them, you know? So if I can email those things over to all of the volunteers within a group, you know, that might be beneficial to everybody.
Thank you.
I also had a comment about the Adopt a Park. I think that's a fantastic idea. I did, however, did not see the skate park on there and was wondering if that was just an oversight or,
So I think currently the skate park is adopted.
okay.
I think we currently have an organization that has that one adopted, so I
Okay,
think that's
perfect.
why that's just not
Okay.
on that list
Okay.
right there for
I
availability.
was thinking, that'd be a good service project for our youth group.
Yeah, but, you know, and that's something, you know, we can discuss as well as, you know, how does that look if we want two organizations to be working together on one park possibly? So, but yes, that is one that,
Okay, I just
but
wondered.
I
'cause
think
don't
off
see
the
a lot
top of my
people
head,
cleaning
that's
up,
one
so.
that has been adopted.
Okay, good. That's good to know.
Anything else? Thank you. Okay, spraying of blackberries. Who's that? Jason's here.
Cool blackberries.
Do I have an agenda? Here? Oh. Sorry for being late. I got held up with something. Spraying the blackberries. So I guess part of that is we have over 300 acres of parks and natural land that we take care of with anywhere between 4 to 8 individuals on our crew, depending on the season. Spray is one of those things, if we didn't use, we wouldn't be able to keep up. What we're going to do, and we're in the process of, is put some permanent signage at some of the trails, so Mark Slough, Cheetah Lake, and we're gonna look at some of the other places that will say that it's, you know, we use herbicides to take care of the brush and things, and then we will still keep posting, you know, legally how we have to, you know, certain amount of time before, certain amount of time after. So, but it will be a permanent sign just to give people a heads up that, you know, we do use this out here, so, you know, use caution. But other than that, we have licensed applicators. We follow everything as far as, you know, what they have to do for signage and everything on that end. So it's just one of those things that if we didn't use it, we'd have blackberries growing over the trail and you wouldn't even be able to walk down it. So.
Well, I think the original question had to do with during the season when people Linda, did you bring the question up? During the season when people are actively out picking blackberries, I think is
Yeah,
that what it
July
was?
and August specifically, because as we all know, Oregonians pick blackberries, and especially when the blackberries are right by the trail, they're going to be picking them. I think it's a great idea to have a sign, but they might not notice the sign, or they might really resent that their blackberries are sprayed. So I wondered if the spraying could just be avoided in July and August.
We can definitely look into that, but as far as our schedule and how, when we have to take care of things, I can't guarantee that we could not spray, July or August. But like I say, we do sign ahead of time and leave it up after the fact. And we are going to be putting up permanent signs in those, areas where we do a lot of spraying on the blackberries. So I'll look into it and I can get back to you guys by the next
I think
meeting.
it's a reasonable thing to look at
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, because
I'll-
I think actually the season that they're growing and that you're going after them is just a little before that, I think. I think it's all about the fruit. Is that
Yeah.
what you're, yeah.
And like I say, as long as our schedules work out in a perfect world, when we can get out there and get them taken care of ahead of time, we'll definitely, try our hardest to get that taken care of, So,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else on the spraying of blackberries? We're rolling right along. How about Pioneer Cemetery? Is that you, Jason? Or is that I think there was a question. Actually, I had that put on the agenda now that I remember.
So Pioneer Cemetery, we're talking about a tree being put there.
Yeah.
And,
Linda, where were we at on that? I'm trying to.
So
remember.
this is the story. We have a group now, the Friends of Pioneer Cemetery, helping out there. And the group had the idea, so there's the William Ralston plot has a border that doesn't go all the way around because it was built, obviously, around a tree. And there's a big low spot there where the tree used to be. And so the group had the idea to put a pretty flowering tree like a dogwood in there. And so the Lebanon Garden Club is interested in paying for dogwood or another tree to go there. But that offer is contingent on there being water because of the way the climate is going. We want to know that the tree will be watered for the first 2 summers. And that a volunteer will do the watering. And I think Esther can come up with a volunteer to do the watering, but I know there's water at the cemetery, but it's in the ground and I don't know if it can be made available, so
I think
maybe.
you
So
looked into that, didn't you?
we do have a water service there. We're coming up with whether it's a viable option. I guess the only thing I would be concerned on that is it would have to be, some type of lock or something on the water so that it doesn't get used by people that would need to be, but we can definitely come up with something so that they can get the water there. Yeah, we can look into that. I already have guys working on it. I don't think the service has been used and Ron might have a better idea, probably as long as I've been here, and I think it's well before that there was ever any water put
Yeah,
through there.
I don't remember it ever being used.
So my water crew's looking into if it's even viable, if the service is still good, if it's turned on, where exactly it's at. So,
Good. It makes sense if it's viable and lockable and they have a volunteer. You don't want to add any work to the city of having to remember that one tree. But
Yeah.
if they got a volunteer, yeah.
okay.
Okay. Moving right along. Cheetah Lake tree damage.
That'd be me again. This is on a similar note to, what I was talking about before with the spraying of the blackberries. So out there at Cheetah Lake on the trails, we use an excavator with a flail mulching head on it to do a lot of the mowing out there. If we had to do things by hand, it would take us, a lot of time to get done the same thing we do with the excavator. The guys are as careful as they can. There are going to be a little bit of casualties on, some of the the smaller trees and things like that, but it's just we're trying to get the most amount of done in the shortest time so that we can get everything done in a season and people can enjoy the trails. So it's one of those things that I had to talk with the guys about being more careful, but accidents do happen and things are going to get, you know, mulched up.
So had that question come up from us, or where did that question come up from?
That came from me also.
Okay.
So, did somebody repair the damage to that tree?
The guys looked at it and my tree guy said that it shouldn't affect the tree at all.
Well, he didn't want to trim that bark around that gash?
I left it up to him. I'm not a tree expert, so I don't really, I told him to make sure that it wasn't gonna affect the tree and kill it in any way, and he said it should be fine. So,
And using the mower on the hazel bush well, that was deliberate, right?
so that was trimming everything back on the trail so that things didn't grow over the trail. So blackberries, bushes, everything. I mean, that's how we have to trim that trail in order to get it all taken care of.
Yeah,
I don't have the staff or the staff time to go down and trim everything by hand.
yeah.
With the amount of-
It looks pretty bad. I'm wondering if, when you need a bush or a tree worked on, if BLT could maybe be asked, because we have BLT volunteers who do work on the trees. And I've noticed that the ones that I have taken the vines off and cleaned up, since then, city workers have left them alone, and so they look much better. So I wondered if that could be done instead of just taking a mower to the shrubbery.
I mean, if somebody wants to volunteer to go down and trim individual trees, we'd be more than happy to allow that. So, but like I say, I don't have the staff or the staff time to go down and trim trees individually down along the path. If it's a tree in a park and not along, you know, a path, you know, a natural area, a path, we're definitely gonna, you know, trim them in a different manner. But when we're trying to get the whole trail system taken care of in a season, we just don't have the time to do trees individually. So.
Okay, any other questions on that one? Okay, Cheetah Lake project, who gets that one? Oh, we're spreading it around today.
You
Okay.
Here, take one and pass it around rather than me. One, two. So in your packet is a drawing, the drawing that was done by Udell Engineering for the overall park project. You could probably throw it away once you see the cost of the cost estimate for this. They also provided a cost estimate. It's been a couple months ago. So overall total, if you don't have contingencies in it, we'll just kind of cut to the chase here, 11,500,000 for what was on the paper. So with that, I know this group wanted to come in and have some thoughts about what was going to be put in. And we can still do that, but I think we need to follow the intent of the grant, which is for accessibility improvements. We do have some SDC dollars, system development charges, parks that will be thrown at this. But all told, that's going to be in the neighborhood of 3.5 million. So our thought is to get as much of the frontage done, which is the multi-use path across the frontage. ADA parking, ADA paths to certain locations, and then really focus our efforts on the stage, because that's probably a primary, more of a draw at this point. We're not going to get baseball fields put in. We might get half of one put in if we try to do all that. So looking for a little bit of feedback on that. On direction, I think we would like to propose moving forward in that sense, that we focus on the ADA stuff and the access. So
I have feedback.
What do you got?
So I've done a bunch of research and I've kind of reached out to the city of Albany, and I've had some other event coordinators that have reached out to people. And we're finding that in the research we've done that the baseball fields, for example, in Albany did not see a return on investment on them. And in fact, they leased them to Corvallis, and Corvallis pays Albany to maintain them so the Corvallis teams can use them. So they're not finding, Albany didn't find that it really brought in a lot of tourism. It didn't bring a lot of people into town. And they also struggled with people paying to, the teams paying to use them. So they kind of have lost money on them. So judging, and that was kind of my research around checking on different communities that had baseball fields and what they were used on them. It didn't seem like they really get used and they really have the financial benefit to the park long term. I know that even part of Albany's baseball diamonds, they have not even been maintained. They've just kind of let them go. So I know that we talked at one time, there were some people that came in and talked to us about pickleball. And I know I've done a little bit of research on that, and that does seem to be growing. It does bring people in the community. I don't know. I think we'd have to do more research on whether or not that is really a beneficial thing or not. So I talked to a few different organizations that have looked at the park and that have utilized the park. I know that they did provide us with a list of some of the events that have used that park, and it appears that almost all of them are events like festivals and so forth. A suggestion that came about was putting a structure out there that could be an indoor-outdoor building that could just be used for could have an outdoor concreted covered area that has like a small kitchen that could be used for weddings and corporate events, those type of things, and having a structure like that out there that could be used for and rented out, leased out monthly. We wouldn't have any, everybody'd have to pay a deposit, a cleaning deposit, and it could be used for all different sorts of corporate events, weddings, family reunions, picnics, those type of things. Festivals could also use them for indoor vending areas. It could be used for holiday fairs and markets, anything like that. There is local businesses in town that do rental for chairs and tables, so I wouldn't think that the city would have to deal with any of the rental things, but the building itself, which could be a somewhat low maintenance type of a deal. Also, putting in the stage and having a big grassy area would not be a lot of maintenance on the city and would bring a lot of revenue to that park. The other feedback we got was ADA accessibility, which we're already looking at. Parking was something that was a concern out there, as well as security, fencing, that type of a thing, fencing in part of the park, which I don't think we'd want to do until we really had a firm idea of the park and how it was going to look. And then electrical was the thing, but we've got plenty of electrical out there already. And then the other thought that came up was RV park or camping was something that has been discussed in the past for availability of that to events and things that were happening out there. It seems to be that most events and most event coordinators, what they look for is stage availability, seating availability, parking, and overnight availability. So those are the things that I found most of them asked about when reaching out to different organizations and asking them if they came to Lebanon, if they'd use that park and what they would require for their events. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I tried to find out if there was a baseball or softball teams in Lebanon. I couldn't find that there were any. There is baseball, softball, both?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's both. I think the ball fields aren't going to happen this go round, for sure. So I think what we're looking at is strictly just the ADA access, and I think we need to, even your structure itself, you're either going to do a structure or we're going to do a stage.
Right.
I mean, we're not going to do both because
Right.
there's no way, dollar-wise, we have that. I think the structure idea is a good idea. I think we'd also like to try and get an ADA bathroom in while we're out there, just to have some of those kinds of things.
If you
in.
had a structure, I would say you'd put bathrooms that were accessible indoor and outdoor.
Yeah.
Would be part of that building. And I don't know, truly, I don't know if a stage or with a building would be more cost beneficial. I mean, I would think both would get used. I couldn't tell, I don't know which one would be best over time. I guess that's a
But
discussion.
do you build what you can, like the stage with the money you have, but you make sure that you don't eliminate your opportunity to put some sort of
Right.
structure
I
in there
think that's
later?
I agree with that assessment. Yeah.
And I have to call,
If you looked at this, then that leaves this pretty well open to do with
Right.
in the future.
Right.
And just looked at your stage area, got utilities out there, figure out a good location for, and it doesn't have to be just one. I know this drawing showed the restroom in the center of all the ball fields. We could put another restroom somewhere else. Keep in mind that requires utilities be run to it.
Right.
So we are getting utilities out there right now. We're under contract to do that. So
The only major thing I see on this map, as far as stage wise, is the driveway that goes through where people would sitting, I think needs to be changed.
Okay.
Because that seems like a huge hazard if you have people leaving the stage and driving right through a crowd, that you're not gonna want that. Beyond that, I think we could probably strategically place a bathroom building that would be beneficial. I mean, there's already structures out there, so there's gotta be a way we can strategically place a bathroom building that would work for future planning.
I need to claim a conflict of interest because I'm the persons that you didn't talk to me, but somebody talked to in Albany, because I do the ball fields in Albany, and that's true. We were subsidizing them for $300,000 a year before we dropped the program.
okay, that's good information to have. It's going to be a much simplified project. I think we're going to focus heavy on the access because that is what the grant's for. And if we can get another couple amenities in there now, that's what I would suggest this committee look at. We'll probably, unless I hear otherwise, we'll probably start looking at the periphery of the park and where we get utilities and focus on this stage at this point. And getting that piece in and parking, and then see where we land dollar-wise with that. I think the other thing that's gonna become a reality is this is not gonna be until a year 25 project. By the time we nail all this stuff down, do a design, and we're ready to go. Right now, we don't have the capacity to do that anyway for next year with everything that's lined up. So 25 is probably it. But we do need to start planning what this looks like, and we'll circle back with Udell Engineering and get that lined out and what we think we can do, bring it back here, show you what we can do, and then kind of run from there.
Is there any public input? Do you have any meetings with the public? There's been some interest.
In term, we're kind of using this venue as our public meeting setting. So if folks have want to discuss things, I think we have to be really careful and not to get a big scope creep on this because of what the grant was intended for, and we need to follow that.
And go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I feel like if we're gonna focus on the ADA, we should also consider lighting along the pathways in there, because that is something that I think is also kind of an ADA thing. There is very minimal lighting in that park.
I think you're going to find that if you do a good job with the infrastructure, that's the stuff that doesn't show, which is what you're looking at. If you do a good job in the design of that, later on, other stuff can be added with that already there. So I think a good overall plan is a good idea.
Yeah, and I agree
And
with that.
do the infrastructure you can, because even things like a bathroom, to get a real bathroom, you're going to be at $400,000 probably right off the top. You think a bathroom, $400,000? Yeah, that's about what they are.
Agreed.
Other questions, concerns,
That,
comments?
what, $2.4 million grant? Sounded like a lot of money at the time, didn't it?
Yeah, any more $2 million project doesn't get you very far. So all told, we'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.5 million to spend on this. But-
Just for the infrastructure or?
Well, just for the project
ADA
itself.
stuff,
We'll
yeah.
see what we can get. I don't even want to tell you what we can get at this point because I have no idea until we put it out on paper and start crunching some numbers on what that looks like.
Just as a background, again, a simple park, Meadow Ridge Park that's being built right now in Albany is 1.8 acres, and part of it's a natural area, and it's not much. It's trail or some paths and play equipment, and that's coming in at 1.5 or 1.6. So it just doesn't go very far. It's, but again, if you can get the basics, some ADAs, some utility stuff ready to go, then it's easier to do stuff later.
And I think that would be the intent of this, is to get utilities stubbed to locations where we can extend them further and get some ADA access, parking, and probably at this point, focus on what a stage would look like, just for different community events. I do like the idea of a covered area, but when we start getting into the structural aspects of a big covered area like that, and we're gonna
Right.
eat money really fast.
Right, yeah.
So,
As far as the stage goes, I do have some plans that we've looked at, and I have some information on that when you're ready for that. 'Cause
we're
we've-
ready at any time if
Okay,
you
because we've
wanna.
been doing a ton,
Okay,
the Strawberry
good.
Festival has been doing a ton of research on permanent stages.
Good. Yeah, that'd be good.
So-
That's good information to have.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a stage guy.
We both have we have production people that are really familiar with lots of stages and what they need, as well as people involved in just, we have stage plans, we have lots of things, so.
So any questions? Are we clear on where the Cheetah Lake plan is now? Sounds like, to me, like they're going to work on some design and see where you're at.
Yeah, well.
But our expectations are not here. Our expectations are
Yeah,
here.
they've been narrowed substantially. We'll bring something back on what we think we can do over the next 4 to 6 months, depends on how busy Udell Engineering is, and get some cost estimates on it, and then let this group chew on it, throw darts at it, see what you think.
Questions, comments? Okay, I think we got through all the city stuff now. BLT update. Are you doing an update, Jen?
Sort of, kind of, I sent this to Sierra and Ron, and they already took care of a lot of.
Well, there you go.
It's
Look at
not
that.
all BLT stuff, it's just things that I've heard people talk about and need. The one exciting thing is, and I talked to Jason and he okayed it, I met this guy, Robert Perkins, he's a Lynn County Juvenile Program at a fire workshop in SIO. And they have a group of the kids that live over at, oh, what's that called? That youth place over, yeah, between Albany and Corvallis. And they have, it was impressive. They have like 3 or 4 greenhouses, and they raise bushes and trees and so forth. And they planted them up the canyon, San Am Canyon, after the fire. So it's really a well-operated organization. So they have a bunch of kids, and they couldn't come sooner between our schedule and their schedule. So they're coming November 12th for about 6 hours, and there'll be 5 or 6 kids. And they usually charge $200 but since BLT is a nonprofit, they're not charging us. And they're going to clean up along River Drive. I don't know, by those houses and stuff is just kind of a mess with weeds and so forth. And then over at the Cheetah Lake parking lot and where the bridges are across the way. So I think, we'll keep them busy probably for 5, 6 hours without a problem. They bring their own lunch and stuff, so we're not really out anything. I think we're going to go and help them out a couple of us. You took care of the sign, or you're talking about the sign at Cheadle? Garbage cans, you're taking, these garbage cans, and I didn't think about people putting in their own garbage because they have really been overflowing, and people pretty much are putting in the little green doggy bags that they put on the posts that the Rotary Club, it takes the village, and the Rotary Club has donated those. We got the approval for the BLT Cheadle Lake Fun Run and Walk. Oh, and the South Shore Trail, I went over there today. I've been gone for 8 days, so I went over there today, and they're really busy putting that trail around the new property on the east. It's going to be a nice little loop in there. That looks like they're really going for it.
Should have it rocked by next Wednesday.
Yeah, they have big
Paved
piles. Yeah. Oh, and
soon.
blacktop, asphalt.
We won't, not Wednesday. We'll have it all rocked up by Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like you're going to go with the South Shore Trail down. I didn't go way down there, but down
So it'll
into
look
the.
something similar to what's on this, if you look at the drawing that I lost or put away.
It'll be kind of an out and back there
Yeah.
of
So it's
the
coming
South
out
Shore
like
Trail,
that,
we
and
call
it'll
it.
tie in over here.
Yeah, and it goes in those trees. It looks
Yep.
like it's,
Mhm.
I saw the stakes there. So that's really exciting. It's going to be a nice little loop. Do you know how many feet that is?
I did, but then you asked me and now I don't.
Yeah.
I think it was, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000, but I can't
Okay,
remember off
yeah,
the top of my head.
yeah. It's kind of interesting because I always wondered what the distance was from Gill's Landing over to Wyrick Drive. And it's 3 miles. So that'll give a little more than
Oh, yeah.
3 miles. So if somebody wants to do a walk or a run of 6 miles, they can, park at Gill's Landing and go over. I want to give kudos to Drew Breezy. He's been great with Build Lebanon Trails. They did the forms for bench pads down at River Park, and he, at his convenience, of course, he put in the concrete and doesn't charge us anything. So there's 2 benches. One will be for Kathy Pointer, who probably several of you know, and Thad was going to call others to see that are on the list. We have about a half a dozen that are on the list. Also kudos to Lincoln County, Lincoln Federal Credit Union and Dave Workman. They've adopted the Eagle Scout Trail, which is just below the Old Mill Trail, the soft surface trail. And they work quarterly. They put in about 3 or 4 hours every 3 months. So we're really excited about that. They're going to spread some gravel down there and so forth. 4L, it's called, I don't know what they're called, 4L Ventures that are doing off of Stoats Hill and Vaughn Lane,
Yes.
the Latimers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're interested in a trail through there. So that's just kind of in the works. They contacted one of the BLT people and are interested, so that's not in concrete yet. A question on the BLT seasonal worker that Build Lebanon Trails is going to help support at $20,000 a year. They're working, right?
Yeah, so I had one temp that was pretty much all doing that. He had to go back to school. He was a high school kid. And now I have a temp that's doing half that and half streets.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Okay,
We've
great.
had a couple people out there and
Yeah.
we've been having some other people go out and help on the trail maintenance. So it's not just been the one person that's funded through BLT. We've
Okay.
had multiples out there.
Well, we haven't got a bill yet, thank you.
I guess we'll have to talk to the finance department then.
No. We can hold. Okay,
Get you a bill.
yeah, and Rod's not here, as you well know, and so I'm sure he has other things. And there was the trail along Airport Road where the power lines were. Has anything happened with that?
Oh, the one from 7th to Stolt Hill?
Right, uh-huh.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, as soon as we build the signal project.
Oh, another year or so?
Gosh, I hope not.
I
But
don't know.
we're still hung up in right away, so we're
You're still
waiting.
what?
Hung up in right away
Yeah,
acquisition.
right,
So,
yeah, okay.
once we work through that, we'll get the project out and it'll probably be a year. I'm guessing.
Okay, well,
It's-
thanks.
It's going forward.
Yeah, and thanks for working well with Build Lebanon Trails. We really appreciate it. We got a lot of great volunteers and, we just so appreciate them. Graffiti, we only had one incident last month, yeah, on the trails. I know they had it at Century Park and so forth, and Skip is still hitting around, but, so the graffiti is down. But, in the winter, I don't do the trails very much because I go out early in the morning. So if you see anything, contact one of us because we really want to get on graffiti within 24 hours. So even if city people see it, call us. There's 5 of us that have backpacks with the stuff you gave us, plus alcohol and soda and brushes and elbow grease. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Anything else from the committee for the good of the order? Okay, public comments. We do have some public. Do you have any comments or are you just observing? Okay, a couple of you, are you here because you are for a class? They said to sit in on a public meeting? Okay, very good. Thank you for being here.
For what program? What
For a
program?
nursing,
What
nursing program?
Oh, your nursing program? Wow.
Okay. Cool. Sarah, since you're so good at public speaking, you got anything else to say on this one? No, she's had enough. Okay. Next scheduled meeting is November 15th from 2 to 3 o'clock, 3:30 right here. And,
Can I ask a question?
oh,
on
we got there
that?
right at the
And I have,
last second.
I'm that guy. So do we have, is there stuff for an agenda for November?
okay,
I'm the guy that hates to meet, so.
you'll have to ask Rod because he's the guy.
Unless there's, I'm not sure we need a monthly meeting unless somebody tells me, yes, we gotta have monthly meetings, but, unless there's topics of discussion, I don't want to have to put Sierra through, trying to build an agenda that we don't really have anything to talk about. So, thoughts from the group?
Will you have an update on the Cheetah Lake project by then?
No, I don't think so. I think that's probably gonna take us a good 4 or 5 months just to get through that process with as busy as Brian is. And as busy as my staff is, I don't have anybody available to even start thinking about it right now.
Should we look at not meeting again until January? Do we need, because December is going to be right in the middle of Christmas.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to this group. I mean, I'm not saying that we won't show up for a meeting, but if there's nothing to discuss, then does that make sense?
Any desire to have a meeting next month? December's hard. Or the next be in
Yeah,
January?
I
or-
think, Rod communicates with you if
Yeah,
there's
I'm-
something
yeah.
that's imminent. I wanted to add something. He's been applying for grants for, it's going to be about $200,000 to redo the Gills Landing, and he got 2,500 from the family, 12,000, I should say, from the Ford Family Foundation. And it's kind of neat because if we don't need it for Gills Landing, we can use it other places, which is rare with grants. He also got a $2,500 from the Lebanon Tourism Grant, so we'd like to keep those dollars local, and that's nice. He's applied for a T-Mobile for $50,000 and Travel Oregon for $85,000, and he's applying for another one in case he doesn't get one of these. So on his vacation, he's working on a grant.
Yes, he is. I've gotten the emails to prove it.
Good. So why don't we plan on January, but keep it on your calendar in case something comes up?
Yeah, I
sound
think that's
good.
fair. I don't
I
want to
agree
waste
with you.
everybody's time if we don't have stuff for an agenda.
So that would be January 17th.
Okay,
From
so
2
the
to
next
3.
scheduled meeting is January 17th, you said, 2024, right here. Ron, can I hit it yet, or are you going to say some more?
Slam it.
We're adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beginning of my
That was a lot
60th
on here.
year.
Yeah.